Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the best recordings of Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2. I did the repertoire video for No. 3, and of course you all chimed in and said, "Whoa, why don't you do No. 2? Well, I have to say, one of the reasons that I stretched out this particular series after doing the ideal Rachmaninoff concerto cycles is that a lot of the same names keep turning up, especially, we know what the great recorded Rachmaninoff cycles are. And so, I just didn't want to keep coming up with the same names over and over again. It sounds repetitious. That's just me. I understand that these videos are going to go out there into the internet universe, the cyberverse or whatever you call it, and that over the next 10,000 years, no one will care exactly, what date it was. But for me, I wanted to talk about something different. However, I realized in putting this together that there are more than enough singleton versions of the Second Piano Concerto, including my however choice, that it makes sense that I can do it without fear. So this particular video is a little bit different than the others in that we have the iconic version, which I'm sort of setting aside from the subsequent versions. I mean, it's just sort of it's just a technical thing I'm doing because Rachmaninoff's own recording with Leopold Stokowski and the Philadelphia Orchestra dates from 1929. And it's a very, very, very limited sounding recording. I mean, it's interesting for tempo and for all of that stuff. But, these concerti, especially the second and third, are really integrated works for piano with orchestra. And sometimes the orchestra dominates, sometimes the piano does, and they have to be presented equally. And there's no way that could have happened in 1929. All you get is the dim sound of an orchestra with very limited dynamic range. And no matter what remastering you use, don't let anyone bullshit you into thinking that there's some revolution in sound that's going to make these things, appear as if they were recorded recently or something like that. But you do have Rachmaninoff in top form on the piano. And he's very, very helpful as regards tempi, particularly because his tempos in this work tend to be on the fleet side. So we know what he did. That's not what anyone else has to do. But he liked a quick, mercurial, quicksilvery, light approach to this music, which is almost always presented in this hot, heavy, panting, super uber romantic slosh and slog kind of way, or it can be when it's done badly. But all the great performances have to A, keep the music moving, and B, observe the relationship between the piano and the orchestra very, very keenly, thoughtfully. And the pianist has to know when to step back and let the orchestra assume the foreground, and of course, vice versa. So here is Rachmaninoff. Now that we are setting aside because it's a sui generis historical document. And now we're talking about I think the best performances. And we begin with another historical effort, William Kapell. A wonderful, wonderful performance with Fritz Reiner. No, it's with William Steinberg, pardon me. Fritz Reiner does the Paganini Rhapsody, which is also just fabulous. And the Robin Hood Dell Orchestra. Now, the Robin Hood Dell Orchestra is the Philadelphia Orchestra. It's just their summer home sort of thing. And it was recorded, let's see when it was recorded, in 1950 at the Academy of Music in Philadelphia. So it's the Philadelphia Orchestra. And it's a performance which is, interestingly enough, almost identical to Rachmaninoff's own in terms of timings. And I like those performances, only they're, Rachmaninoff's timings, but they're in better sound. It's a notably modern, unsticky, it's not cold, it's not cool, it's not intellectual or any of those silly things. It just doesn't drag. And that's true of Rachmaninoff's own approach to his music. So yes, it's absolutely fabulous. And it's on RCA and it sounds rather good, actually. So you can enjoy it for that purpose alone. That's the historical choice. Kapell. So, after Kapell, what have we got here? Oh, yes. These are in no particular order until we get, again, toward the end. This is lovely. This is, let's see, Christian Zimerman and the Boston Symphony with Seiji Ozawa. You see, here's a singleton release. You've got Concerti 1 and 2. He didn't do 3 and 4. So I get to talk about this beautiful, elegant, very highly polished, intelligent, musicianly performance. It's absolutely lovely. And I enjoy it immensely. So there you go. We have people you haven't heard of before. And I'm very excited about them. Same thing here. This is the complete cycle, including the Paganini Rhapsody, with Victor Oresco piano, and the USSR Symphony Orchestra under Gennady Provotorov, and also the Leningrad Phil with Vladimir Ponkin in the Rhapsody. This is on Melodia. Well, it was Melodia. It's Melodia, and some of this cycle popped up in that big Melodia Complete Rachmaninoff edition, but they used lots of different pianists, so it was kind of diluted. But this is a very fine Rachmaninoff piano concerto cycle. Oresco is a terrific pianist, not well known here in the West, and I was very, very happy to be able to grab this thing because actually Rachmaninoff concerto cycles coming out of Russia are seldom the best. It's the truth. I hate to say it, but it's true. I mean, God knows, been enough of them, and there are plenty of individual performances. But, there is a Russian tradition in this music, and it ignores some works in favor of others. And, and Rachmaninoff, decamped from Russia at some point in his career. So for the latter part, for the fourth piano concerto and the Paganini Rhapsody, he was living in America or in Switzerland or wherever he was living. I don't know. For whatever reason, complete Rachmaninoff concerto cycles coming from the USSR were not fast and furious. Also because the record industry was totally state-controlled, and if they made one thing of something, they kept it in print forever, and no one else got a chance to do anything similar. It was one of those difficult situations during the Soviet era. So the best Russian pianists made their Rachmaninoff recordings in the West, their complete cycles anyway, where there were record labels with the money and resources to do it easily. So this is here, Oresco on Melodia. I don't know if you can still find it. I really don't. It was issued by license by RCA, by BMG, but it's a very fine performance, and it's a Russian performance. Yes, it's Russian. It's hot and heavy, which is fun. Now, here's a very intriguing performance that I'm not sure I liked when it came out, and I'm not sure I like it now, but it is fascinating. It's Andrei Gavrilov with the Philadelphia Orchestra and Muti. Now, they did, and the Paganini Rhapsody's on here too, which is oodles of fun. Here's the thing. Gavrilov was sort of known as a digital monstrosity, as a banger. Put it that way, as a hotshot virtuoso without much sensitivity. I mean, like in his the Chopin etudes that were just terrible. There were some other things, but he became more thoughtful. And this performance of the Second Piano Concerto is really interesting in terms of its shape, because it has the slowest slow movement you've ever heard in your life. It's almost 14 minutes long, which is a good couple of minutes longer than just about anyone else's, and over 3 or 4 minutes longer than Rachmaninoff's own. It works beautifully because the outer movements, while not exactly zippy, although the finale is fairly zippy, are at reasonable, sort of standard tempos. 10 minutes and 47 seconds, 11 minutes and 23 seconds for the finale, even a little quicker than a lot of today's usual ones. So that gives the piece a very interesting shape with the slow movement really at the heart of things. And they sustain it beautifully, I have to say. I mean, it is slow, but they carry it off. And so, if the purpose of these repertoire videos is to demonstrate in excellent performances the range of possibilities in the work in question, this is one of the most interesting, without a doubt, because there aren't any other performances, I think, that have this particular emphasis and shape and pull it off so well. You may disagree with it, but you can't argue with the fact that it's excellently done and vividly recorded. And you've got Philadelphia and Muti, and Gavrilov is really amazingly poetic, where people just expect him to pound. So yeah, quite interesting. Then, of course, we must talk about Richter. Yeah, Richter, with the Warsaw Philharmonic under Stanislav Wisłodzki. Wisłodzki, yeah, it's the guy. It's coupled with that awful Tchaikovsky First Concerto with Karajan and the Vienna Symphony, not even the Berlin Phil. But this Rachmaninoff 2 is legendary. It is on the slower side of things, a little bit on the slower side, but not terribly. It's fantastically well balanced in terms of timings. Every movement's like 11 minutes and a few seconds. It works out very, very well. When it came out, it was noteworthy for its sense of gravitas, for the importance and really sheer musicality that these performers gave to the work. I mean, it was not a virtuoso shuffle. It was a really thoughtful performance with beautiful detailing and a firm sense of the work's long line and shape, very symphonic and very beautiful, and it's held up very, very well. Richter fans, of course, just swear by it, so, we all know about them. But it's great. It's absolutely great. And now we talk about some of the things we talked about before. One of them, Abby Simon, with the St. Louis Symphony and Leonard Slatkin, a great Rachmaninoff piano concerto cycle. It has no weak links. 2 and 3 are highlights. They're absolutely first class. It's on Vox. It's inexpensive. It was been reissued recently on Naxos at full price, but it's worth it. Abby Simon, as I keep saying, was a musician's musician, a thoughtful, brilliant, technically polished. Everything is in place, and it's a beautiful, warm, traditionally shaped performance. It's absolutely lovely. Lovely itself, and very close to Rachmaninoff's own timings, I might add. It's a little bit slower in the finale, but otherwise it's right on point if you like the composer's own concept, and very, very fine sound. So definitely worth considering. Let's take this stack and throw it over there. Oh yeah, a more recent release, slightly more recent. Well, let me see. It was, let's see, what is this? 2005. Okay, there we go. Leif Ove Andsnes with Antonio Pappano and the Berlin Philharmonic. This became almost a Rachmaninoff cycle. I don't know if they did everything. They did the third. I know that. And it's really quite fine. Extremely fine. A very, very good piano concerto number 2. Lovely and full of pep and vim and vigor. And let me see how the timings work out here. Timings aren't everything. It's shaping and all the other things as well. But they do matter. And this is also, I think, close to Rachmaninoff's own timings. Let me see. If you care about these things, it's 10, 11, moderato 10, 10, 11. Very close. Very close to the composers. A little bit more relaxed, I think, a little bit more, not relaxed in terms of like lazy or sluggish, relaxed in terms of a little bit more breath between the phrases, but it's still very perky. There are no dead spots. It's very well played and recorded. Andsnes he's done the third twice. Remember, he did it in this series and he did it with Berglund. So he does it good Rachmaninoff and considerable Rachmaninoff, and he records it with complete conviction. So there you go. There's a really good second. And of course, Earl Wild, part of the Wild-Horenstein classic, iconic, fabulous, complete Rachmaninoff concerto and Paganini Rhapsody cycle. Really fabulous performance. Absolutely dazzling. We're spot on with Rachmaninoff's own tempos. I mean, I really, amazingly, let's see what it is. It's maybe a little quicker, actually. Let's see, Rachmaninoff in the first movement, 9:45, Wild, 9:12. Minutes and 12 seconds. Second movement, 10:40, 10:18. Finale, 10:53. Here, 10:33. Tiny bit quicker. Yeah, I love it. Oh, God, it's exciting. And it's also exciting, but never rushed. It's a question of phrasing, accent, articulation. You never get the feeling that they're hurrying along or skating over the surface of the music. There's plenty of freedom from Wild. Horenstein, as usual, is kind of rigid in tempo, but actually they play off of each other very well in this entire cycle. They really do. It's some of Horenstein's best work on disc. So this is the Chesky recording. It's actually coupled with the Isle of the Dead, which is kind of cool, actually. But who's doing the Isle of the Dead? Is it the same folks? Yeah, it looks like it is. And it's a splendid disc. But you can get this on Chandos with just the piano concertos, and it's something you have to have if you care about Rachmaninoff. I mean, it's essential. Then, oh, yes, Byron Janis. Well, when we were talking about the third piano concerto, we had Byron Janis with Charles Munch on RCA, which is fabulous. But there's also this one, which some people like just as much, with the London Symphony. Here, with the second piano concerto, we have the Minneapolis Symphony Orchestra, which sounds just fine. It's a vivid Mercury Living Presence recording. Antal Dorati is the very capable conductor. And here you have a performance which is is the opposite of Gavrilov in a way, because it's a really quick slow movement. It's 9 minutes and 54 seconds. That may be the quickest on disc, or one of the quickest, certainly in this pile of recordings. The outer movements are by no means slow. 10 minutes and 15 seconds for the first movement, and 10 minutes and 42 seconds for the finale. I know I'm spending a lot of time talking about timings. I really am, and I probably shouldn't so much, but they're interesting, and they do give us a sense of the overall shape of the performance, which is helpful in a work like this, where you've got three movements that are all basically kind of the same length, but they don't come out that way in concert. I mean, they could be. So they are with Richter, let's put it that way. So here you've got a slightly different shape for the whole work. This one is hourglass shaped, while the others the Gavrilov is sort of pear shaped. And it's a fabulous performance. I mean, Byron Janis was marvelous and just great and brilliantly recorded. It's just ballsy and pedal to the metal. Then we have, my last three. We're in the last three. We have Ashkenazy. Again, we talked about him with the third concerto, principally with Philadelphia. But now we have the second concerto with the Moscow Philharmonic and Kirill Kondrashin on Decca. This is his best Rachmaninoff too. I mean, it's just a fantastic, totally Russian performance, like Oresco's. I mean, it's nice to have a totally Russian performance and really good sound. Early Ashkenazy was very, very exciting. And remember, he beat himself. He really did, because he recorded this cycle 4 times. And, who needs that? There was Previn, there was Ormandy, then there was Hightink and Digital, but these early ones were so good. And there was never, it seems to me, enough reflection to say, wait, stop. It's as good as I'm going to do it, as good as it gets. He probably thought he was doing something different each time. I don't know. I mean, it's true that the Ormandy Ashkenazy third was fabulous. So, yeah, I mean, there are individual highlights in each of his Rachmaninoff concerto cycles, but this singleton version of the second, his first version of it with Kondrashin, is rightly regarded as somewhat iconic. So let's keep that one in the pile. Then I have to talk about Kocsis and Edo Devard, who are my reference recording, my however choice, for the third concerto, and they could very well be for the second. This also is almost to the second, similar to Rachmaninoff's own. But you've seen there are quite a few that managed to do that. It's not like people weren't paying attention to what Rachmaninoff did. And this has all the virtues of that third concerto. Fabulous, intelligent interplay between soloist and orchestra, gorgeous sonics, beautiful orchestral support, dazzling filigreed pianism from Kocsis. He never bogs down in the music. He never makes it sound too thick. It's always alert and beautifully shaped and songful. It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It's a great cycle. So yeah, that's that one. And last but not least, however, my choice for the Rachmaninoff Symphony Piano Concerto number 2 remains and has been for about 1 billion years. And not because I'm nostalgic for these things. I'm not. You know that. I'm not a historical recording fan. I'm not, I go one at a time. I take them as they come. And this one really hit me. Oh, for so long. Arthur Rubinstein with Fritz Reiner, the Chicago Symphony, coupled in this case with the Paganini Rhapsody, which is unbelievably great, and and the Prelude in C sharp minor. This is part of that huge Rubinstein edition when it originally came out as this enormous gray box thing. It's wonderful. This is volume 35, by the way. Rubinstein, you come back to him. When I was young, Rubinstein was the guy. It was everything that he did. It was like, wonderful, fabulous, and terrific. And he did all the major stuff. But, after that, of course, a zillion other pianists showed up, and he became, got sort of sidelined. And there were people who had, greater technical ability and, a certain amount, more flash and dash. But gosh damn, as a human person and as someone who just imbues everything he did with a warmth and an ease, especially later in his career. Earlier he was really kind of one of those dazzling virtuoso guys, but then he started to find just a naturalness to his music making, a humanity, a songfulness, a communicativeness, where the music seems to play itself, and it's so lovely. It really is. And since we're talking about timings, let's see what he does here. It's actually very interesting. I don't even think about those things when I listen to him. Okay, 10 minutes and 10 seconds, which is very close to Rachmaninoff's own in the first movement. 11:48, little slower. Maybe in the slow movement, it's at 11:48, and Rachmaninoff himself was 10:40, okay, so a minute slower, and 11 minutes even in the finale, which is within 8 seconds. It's the same tempo essentially as Rachmaninoff's own for the finale. So you get a sense of what he's doing here. There's a bit more freedom, a bit more songfulness in the slow movement. The finale is right up to speed, exciting as can be. The first movement is also quite similar with just a little bit more give and take. And the whole thing, yes, dear, okay, I'm almost done. Sorry about that. Finster tends to stop on the computer and interrupt whatever we're doing. So there she is. Yes, right? Okay, Finster, we're finishing together. You got it? Is that okay with you? Yes? Okay, come here. Yes, so however, Artur Rubinstein, Finster recommends Artur Rubinstein in the Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2, a performance of unparalleled warmth and intensity and gloriously accompanied by Reiner and fabulously recorded by RCA. It's amazing, right, Finster? Yes, it is, isn't it? So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.